Welcome to another edition of Unapologetically Black Male, where we talk about surviving the stigma, standards, and system. Once again, my name is Dwayne Pate. I'm one of the hosts, myself along with our co-host, Brother EJ Stewart. This podcast is meant to highlight the stories of African American men and to celebrate their success and all the things that they have done to get up until this point. As you all know, you can always follow us on all social media outlets on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, just to make sure that you continue to like, comment, and subscribe to this content that we put out each and every week. Once again, shout out to our sponsor, J. Pope and Associates, who kind of gave us the initiative to kind of get this information out there and just kind of push the positive narrative for African American men. We have a great guest on today, Brother Danton Whitley, and I want to turn it over to him to kind of give us a little background about himself. And we're going to kind of jump in with questions following that. So, Brother Whitley, it's on you.
Cool. What's up, man? What's up, everybody? I'm so honored to be on the show, share my story, share a little bit about what I do, how I got here. So, man, thank you, Dwayne. Thank you, EJ. Thank you all for having me. Thank you all for this concept. It's rare to find today Black men that come together to really empower each other. So when we do find that, it is big ups to y'all, man. Keep this going. Keep this conversation going, because if y'all can do it, that means I can do it.
Absolutely.
If I can do it, that means everybody watching can. So a little bit about myself, Danton Whitley. I'm the youngest of 6 kids. I'm a PK. Started out Refuge Temple Church of God in Christ. My father's a pastor. So that's where I got my start with music. I started at a very young age, about 8 years old, man, singing, working with the choir, working with the praise team. Since then, I went to Morgan State University.
Oh,
got
yeah.
my master's. Yes, sir. Morgan Bears. Yeah.
Don't mind my co-host. He went to somewhere in Delaware. One of those schools. They don't really matter. It's okay.
Come on.
But yeah, fair Morgan, man. Morgan is where I got my training. Like Morgan is where I got my technique. Studied music there, emphasis in classical voice. So did opera, jazz, gospel. We traveled the world. The Morgan State University Choir. Y'all heard of the Morgan State University Choir?
Absolutely. I got my master's at Morgan, so
it's
my master's in social work. So
it's a phenomenal choir. It's phenomenal.
I've been hearing about Morgan since I was in high school, because I actually went to Dunbar. So that they had that connection. I think my actual choir director went to Morgan. I think he might be Bishop now, Bishop Stephen Jones. Of the Jones brothers. He was my choir director in high school. So
man, let me fast forward then. So Morgan State, of course, Kojic my whole life. Stephen Jones was my minister of music. He was our minister of music for maybe about 5 years for the Greater Maryland Jurisdiction Church of God in Christ. So but it's one big family. But got my master's from Morgan, worked in our Kojic music department internationally, but here most currently started my own music entertainment company where I do artist development, vocal coaching, international and national tours. This December we just got back from Europe. We did Italy, Switzerland, and Sardinia, 16 cities. I took 2 different groups of singers, my group Mosiac Sound and United Voices, and we stayed in Europe for 2.5 weeks, sharing the gospel, sharing popular American music, and sharing Christmas music throughout the holidays. So man, entrepreneur, vocal coach, music director, but also most of all entrepreneur with Mosiac Sounds Entertainment, my music entertainment company. So that's where I am, man.
Awesome. So are you originally from? You're from, so that means you're from Baltimore, born and raised, correct?
Well, no, I'm from Aberdeen, Maryland. I moved to Baltimore. Aberdeen, Maryland, about 30 minutes north of Baltimore.
Okay, gotcha.
And I grew up there, but I moved to Baltimore in 2005 to go to Morgan and never left. I stayed in Baltimore 15 years.
Gotcha. So let's go back to you said you started when you were 8. Now that's a lot. And you said you're the youngest of 6?
Yes. Yeah, youngest of 6.
Youngest of 6. So you really started with the music at 8 years old. Like, help like explain that journey and how that was, and like what were some of the things that you encountered, I guess, along the way that kind of either pushed you or almost kind of pushed you away, like either push you further or push you back.
Yeah, man. Youngest of six in a Pentecostal family, pastor's family. Not easy. Not easy. And it's a musical family. So my oldest brother plays organ. My brother under that plays drums. My sister under that, she sings. My brother under that plays drums. And my twin sister sings. So musical family, everybody has these musical gifts. So I was kind of I'm the youngest of the one. I feel like Michael Jackson of the Jackson 6, you know. When I finally got my time to do my thing, I just did my thing and just totally went off. But at 8 years old, man, it's just we had to do what the church needed. You know, like the church needed a praise team, that was us. The church needed a choir, that was us. The church needed ushers, that was us. The church, now I'm assistant pastor at my father's church.
Okay.
So you see evolution of it all. I never would have thought I would be in this capacity, you know, as assistant pastor, influencing lives the way I do every week. And it really is a blessing. But like, to go back to your question, 8 years old, man, just had a gift of hearing parts. Just could naturally hear where voices needed to go. So they stuck me as the director, you know. I can sing and I love singing, but I've always been moved in the director space. So like,
Got you.
I find myself there even when I should be just singing. I'm worried about the background. I'm worried about, oh, maybe we could do this with the harmonies, you know, all that kind of stuff. So that's just been my niche, working with voices.
Okay.
Yeah, since 8.
What was it like, you know, being the youngest and maybe not so having that oldest pressure, but having the pressure, any if any, to maybe continue on the path that everyone else basically set forth? Like, was there any kind of pressure or feeling towards that?
Yeah, it was. You need to get it right. You know, you the youngest, so you shouldn't be making no mistakes. You know, you done seen the number 1 do it, number 2 do it, number 3 do it, number 4 do it, number 5 do it. So now it's your turn to really show what you got. Like, don't make no mistakes. Add to the family name. It was pressure because I actually felt inadequate as the youngest. I felt like, even as a musician, my brother's an organist, my sister's a singer. So me defaulting to doing background and working with voices was this kind of a space I naturally went in, but it was also a hiding space because I couldn't play as good as my brother. I couldn't sing as good as my sister. So, you know, I found my thing. And that took me a while. And even today, I'm still finding confidence and comfort with me as a musician, me as a singer. What do I like? What do I want to sound like? What is God giving me to say? Not just kind of like following the footsteps of my older brothers and sisters or my father. Even walking into ministry, man, it's just like, do I do it the way he's done it? Or do I do it the way God has given me to do it? And a lot of times I'm finding it doesn't look like, you know, what my dad did. It doesn't look like what my sisters and brothers did. It looks like what God has given me to do. And I think this show really speaks to that in a man, to say, this is your identity. This is your calling. Be confident in that. And I found that through trial and error. I found this safe space. I found this confident space. I found this Danton space through just trial and error, like making mistakes, you know, owning them and getting up, dusting myself off and saying, I didn't like that, or I did like that. Let me try to do that better, you know, or embarrassing myself, you know, maybe I shouldn't have did that, or maybe I'll do it again, but I'll do it this way, you know, just being driven about what I wanted, you know, what I want out of life. I got married. I married a biracial woman. You know, that's a conversation I don't have much, because it's kind of like, you gonna find your black woman? Well, I could, but I fell in love with this woman. You know what I mean? So owning my choices, like owning my stuff and saying whether it's good or bad, this is where I am as a man, and I trust that God will help me make it better, no matter what the decision is, no matter which angle, which direction I go in.
I think to pull out a little bit of what you were saying about like just kind of owning your mistakes and just kind of, and sometimes you got, I mean, we know that life is about learning through trial and error, because we're not perfect, we're not going to get it all right. And I think that's very pivotal, and just kind of allowing yourself with the grace to fail, and then
Yeah,
fail forward. And I think that's very pivotal for us as men to be willing to be vulnerable enough to like, I'm going to try this. I'm going to try it my way. I'm going to see how it works, and then continue to fail. And if it doesn't work, then I'll adjust. I think that's
yeah,
very very important for us to kind of keep at the forefront of our minds as we continue to grow in our particular spaces of influence. So.
yeah, bro. Like, I love what you said. Grace is really that space to grow. Like,
Mm-hmm.
God gives you grace to grow, and acknowledging that what you're growing and evolving into as an unapologetic African American man is
Mm-hmm.
unique. You know, I don't think we should expect ourselves to be, carbon, cookie cutter images of even our mentors or our fathers. Like embracing our unique assignment in the earth and our unique vibration, our unique energy, our unique ability to create, embracing that and capitalizing on it and finding, like minds to say, hey, you do it that way. I like it that way. I do this that way that complements that. So maybe we can create a partnership like y'all are doing. I don't know. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
we can do it together, and make a bigger impact. Let me just say this. A lot of people, we talk about independence,
Mm-hmm.
um, but then we don't talk about interdependence a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Independence, we achieve it by saying, I can do this by myself, and that's great. Independence is an amazing thing to say, I'm independent. I can pay my own bills. I provide for my family, or I'm an independent label. Whatever your independence is dope. But the level above that is interdependence, learning
Mm-hmm.
that we all together make a larger impact with connectivity, with brand collaborations,
Mm-hmm.
with connecting our networks, with sharing our gifts with each other, and intertwining our purposes so that we can really reach the masses, not as an island, as a just somebody on their own, but literally connecting and creating impact. Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that was key in what you were saying as far as being the youngest. You had, pretty much a roadmap, I guess, or an example, of ahead of you, example
yeah,
of what to do, but finding that space of your own, that's really important because a lot of people may not even think that way.
yeah, yeah. And that's exactly what I felt like, through mistakes of siblings with divorce or siblings getting pregnant before marriage, and
Mm-hmm.
all these above me, siblings that may have struggled with drug addiction and all that kind of stuff that I watched through the years, um, and some mistakes I really didn't walk into because I saw how that turned out. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
I had the luxury of seeing your this disasters as a result of this, so even though I have the proclivity to do it because we're family, I'm not going to try it because I
Right.
see that doesn't work well for our bloodline. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I see that particular thing is an issue for all of us. So I'll take the blunt, and I'm not gonna. I'll take the hit. I'm not gonna do that. So I did have that roadmap, which is why I said it was kind of like to myself, like, bruh, you don't have any space. You don't have any reasons to make a lot of mistakes because you see what drug addiction does. You see what marriage, sex before marriage or having a child before marriage does. Like you see
Mm-hmm.
marrying the wrong person works out. Like you
Mm.
see how not inviting God at the center of your marriage looks. You see what that looks like. So
Mhm.
don't try that. You know what I mean? Like don't do that. Do something
Right.
else. Like make another mistake. And I did. I have my own list of things I tried that didn't go right. But I did have the luxury of seeing, learning from examples before me, and not just the bad things, the great things as well, like good work ethic. Understanding unity and community, and even building the church that my father started. Like I've had some great examples to
Mm.
go before me. Yeah.
Absolutely. I want to kind of follow up with that. You know, you talked about the great examples that you've had. Can you tell us a little bit about some of the mentors or people who like
Oh yeah.
played a significant role? I know. I mean, of course, one of them is. It seems like your dad played a major role. But are there any others besides your dad that kind of say, all right, they really kind of helped me push me to where I am now?
Certainly, man. I'm gonna give you my top three.
Okay.
I'm gonna say my dad. I'll say my dad. My dad can't sing at all. My dad is actually tone deaf. Like
Wow.
he's
Dang.
tone deaf. But
Sheesh.
but he was my first vocal coach before
Mm,
Morgan State, before working with Kojic. When all of us though, it's weird. My dad couldn't sing, but he knew what good music sound like, although he could
hmm
not do it at all. He would say, "Oh, son, that's too high," or "Oh, that's too long. Next time, do it shorter," or "Next time, start a little softer and then get louder." I don't know how he understood these type of things,
hmm
but it's really vocal coaching. Like teaching the singer how to approach, a song and how to navigate through their voice, understanding the range, where they should start in their voice. You know what I mean? Like how to get the greatest impact out of a song. I
hmm
learned that from him at a very, very young age through embarrassment. Like my dad would get in the mic. All right, amen. Wrap it up. Like wow, my dad old school. Old school. Somebody could be up singing, and if it ain't right, if it ain't anointed, he'll have the mic and say hallelujah. Everybody in the church knew what that meant. That meant
mm,
wrap it up. It's over. So my dad is number one. Number two is Nolan Williams. He actually is the editor of the African American hymnal. It's in a
mm,
lot of Baptist churches, like Methodist churches. Um, he's the editor of the hymnal. Anyway, Nolan Williams has an amazing gift of music to do multiple genres and they sound authentically that genre. So like
mm,
you hear some people that sing R&B, but they sound like gospel singers. It's like, nah, you probably should just
hmm
sing in church. Or you hear some people singing in church and they sound like R&B singers. Like, nah, just go to the club. Like, just do your thing. I'm sorry. Anyway, or you hear opera singers that sound like real opera. They don't sound like someone just singing in that falsetto.
mm,
Nolan Williams. I hope anybody watching this look him up. He's amazing. His niche has been like political music. So he's been work with the White House, works in
mm.
Washington, works at the Jazz and Lincoln Center, works at the National. He works with a lot of different orchestras and stuff. But Nolan has taken me to. I went on tour with him in Egypt. I went on tour with him in London.
Mm,
We do jazz, classical music, gospel, soul, and when you sing with Nolan Williams, it's like you have to embody the sound of the genre. You cannot sing a
mm,
gospel song and sound like an R&B singer. You cannot sing an R&B song and sound like a god. You sound like if it's soul, you sound like a soul singer. So
mhm,
Nolan taught me. He trained my ear to hear like the authentic sound of each genre.
mhm,
Whether it's the chord structures, what chords go in gospel, what chords shouldn't be like, it's not really a gospel chord, not a gospel sound. With classical music, with jazz, same thing. So Nolan really helped tune my ear to hear the different genres of music and how to really make them sound authentic to themselves. So much so, I formed a group called Mosaic Sound, and I've had Mosaic Sound for 10 years.
mm.
And like I said, we've toured Italy, Switzerland, Czech Republic, a lot of the Caucasian countries.
Yeah, I was
Ironically,
gonna say.
yeah, man, it's so God has blown my mind, man. So like, thank y'all for letting me talk. Like, thank you for bringing me here to talk. God has blessed me so much, man. Like I said, we just left Europe, Italy, Switzerland, Czech Republic, Sardinia. We go every year. We didn't go
Mm,
2 years because of COVID,
right.
so we went back our first time this year, and
Mm,
there we authentically sing classical music. We authentically sing pop. We
Wow.
mm,
authentically sing gospel. So our concerts are they're like shows,
mhm,
but then we experience the power of God when we get to gospel music. So Nolan taught me that as well as Dr. Conway,
mhm.
who was the director of Morgan State University's choir. So my dad, Nolan Williams, and Dr. Conway. Um, Dr. Eric Conway, the director of Morgan State University choir, he's also the dean of the whole fine arts department,
Okay.
chairperson at Morgan State University. Dr. Eric Conway, man, He taught me how to be a leader that is a friend to the people that follow him. Like Dr. Conway had a way with the students that he connected with us. He wasn't as y'all. A lot of people know Dr. Carter, who was his predecessor. Dr. Nathan Carter brought the Morgan State University choir into its national its national space where it was like the number one choir in the world. Dr. Nathan Carter did that, but Dr. Eric Conway had such a way with the students that we created a bond with him and the music. It wasn't just something we learned to do scholastically or we wanted to create a profession in, but it was like something we created because of love of the gift of it, of the sound of it, and the unity of making music together. So he was amazing with creating the group synergy of choirs and the relationship of a leader and those that follow him. So I've been blessed with those mentors, man. I have. And then those there's many others I can name, like Eric Scott, Pastor Eric Scott, who's from Baltimore. My brother, Kafaris Whitley, Damian Sneed from New York, who I've toured in Italy with as well. They just kind of like were strong men that helped, sharpen different sides of me as an artist and as a producer. Yeah.
Well, have you had to deal with or run in any, stigmas or societal stereotypes or challenges in your role, being a black male? I mean, where maybe I don't know what that typically looks like everywhere else, but specifically, have you had to deal with any challenges or, stigmas or just anything?
Yeah. A couple. So, unfortunately, growing up as a church kid singing in a choir,
PK.
as a musician, you soft, you gay, all these different things that tear down at your psyche and your emotions. That also can make you question yourself if you don't have the right support. So I've run into that throughout the course of my journey through high school, being a PK, going to church every Friday, not being able to do a lot because I had to be at church, like I had to work with the choir. Like it was just they teased me one year, I tried out for the football team and I couldn't. I was on as a singer, not as an athlete. I was so terrible, man. I was so bad. It was 2 days. I remember I called my mom. I was like, pick me up on the back of the school. I'm out of here. I'm leaving. But I only did it because I didn't want to appear as weak. Like I was tired of seeming like I was a weak little fat church kid, So I did do that and I failed ninth grade, but I came back in 10th grade and, completed the season. Wasn't good, but I did it for me. You know what I mean? I wasn't a basketball player, but I did it for me, did lacrosse and did a couple other things just to, push myself as a man. But I went through all those stigmas, like all that, like just being weak, like questions of my identity. And it pushed me even in the space coming from Aberdeen, Maryland, which is a small country town, 30 minutes outside of Baltimore. My family from Mississippi. I'm about to paint this picture for y'all. my family from Macomb, Mississippi, country down south. We moved to Aberdeen, Maryland, military family, Pentecostal, Kojic. Living in Aberdeen, Maryland, I go to Morgan State University in Baltimore City. Culture shock. I mean, not only corny, country, churchy, fat, like all the above, So when I got to Morgan, Morgan ate me alive. Baltimore ate me alive my first year. I mean, destroyed me. And then I was in the music program because I did music, but I wasn't no city kid. Like I wasn't used to the game city people play. I don't know. Y'all don't even know if y'all know what that looks like. Y'all both from Baltimore, right?
I'm from New York City, but
yeah, I'm from Baltimore, so I got you.
Oh, you're from New York, though.
Yeah.
So you get it.
I can't. I was gonna talk trash, but I mean, we ain't no better.
No, not at all.
New York is worse. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Somebody can go from Baltimore and get culture shock in New York. So it's the same thing. But going through those stigmas, coming out of depression, coming out of low self-esteem, coming out of like identity crisis, like who am I? Like What do I really want to do? Do I want to stick with this music thing because people are talking about me? Like I didn't want to do music for a while because let me go back. I'm sorry. Let me know if I'm talking too much.
Oh, no,
All of this.
you good.
Great.
So I started off as a criminal justice major. I studied criminology because when I left high school, I just didn't want to do music because I got the wrong type of energy from it, you know. So I was like, I can do criminology. I went to Harvard Community College. I only took voice because I still love music, but I studied criminology. I was going to secretly take voice lessons to sing at my church. That's it. Never wanted to do. I was going to be a private detective. Took my first voice lesson at Harvard Community College. I would never forget. My voice teacher, her name was Madeline Gray, white woman, basic soprano. I started singing. She was like, your voice was made for opera. She said, I can get you a full scholarship at Morgan State University.
Wow.
And I was like, go to Morgan State to do music? I don't know if I see a future in that because, I just don't know. Anyway, long story short, I auditioned with Dr. Eric Conway at Morgan State University, and I sang, and he was like, wow, man, I need your gift on my choir. And that was, now, when I got to Morgan, that's when everything was kind of plummeted because that's when the culture shock came in. Right. But again, Dr. Conway was the type that he taught me how to, I don't know, man, God did this through that man. He probably, if I told him this, he probably wouldn't even believe it because this is how he was as a leader. He had a way of pulling the strengths out of you and allowing yourself to come in contact with who you were as a singer and as an artist and just be that. I mean, an amazing gift of love that did it. So I came out of all of those insecurities, the affirmation that came, from Dr. Conway and from the opportunities that Morgan State University gave me to be a Black man doing opera, like a Black man doing musical theater. And it's like, to get those opportunities to travel the world, to be paid on scholarship to come and sing, it affirmed like, well, maybe Danton, it's okay if you try to do this. If you want to do music, it's easy. I mean, they're paying you, so just go ahead. So that affirmation, that confidence came with that journey at Morgan. So yes, the stigmas, yes, the all that kind of stuff. I dealt with all of that. But God really, really helped me through it. It really helped me through by sending the right, unapologetically Black, Black men, that just could see the struggle in me and didn't push me away, but pulled me closer. Like, hey, like let's work this out. Let's do it this way. So, yeah,
That's
God
so
bless me
dope.
that way.
That's so dope, man. Is because I think I don't know, pay to tell you, but I'm the furthest from a preacher's child or church these days. I'm getting somewhere, but but just when you talk about preachers' kids and the stigmas, right? You hit it on the head, and it only seems to fare that way for the Black males. You know what I'm saying? A sister can be a preacher's kid, and there's things around that, but what you hit on, that's just so crucial. And it's like, we need to have that space for young men to say, hey, I went through this. You could do this. You can be, I mean, that's something that, especially in that church community with Black folks, we don't talk about that kind of stuff. You don't hear about that.
Yeah. And it's prevalent.
Oh, very, very prevalent. And I think, just kind of having an open space will kind of maybe begin to open up the dialogue, but it has to be an honest and real conversation. And I think sometimes within the church, we don't really want to have those honest and real conversations. Some people do, some people don't. But it really just depends on your demographic and your church. But I think when we start to have those conversations and realize how the affirmation really helps you develop who you are, and just kind of seeing the importance of that to instill in our young people, whether male or female. I think that's very pivotal. You had a lengthy experience with being a choir director and just kind of leading people, and you said you kind of you that kind of fell into your niche. You focus on the bigger picture, the whole thing. You see the whole picture. So what are some of the challenges that you have faced at being a leader of bringing voices together and kind of managing the personalities? What is that like?
You can't say
like how do you navigate those conversations? I know Dr. Conway probably gave you a great example of what to do, but those are the conversations that don't often get talked about that you have to have, because it's like, all right, this is not good enough, and I needed to be better. So how do you navigate those conversations when it comes to things like that, when it's leading the people that you serve and at your church and your business as well?
Yeah, great question, man. I am a perfectionist and a workaholic, and I admit these things just because they are what they are. So I have to have these kind of conversations a lot. Like, this is hard to say. Your best is not good enough. You have to be better. These are tough conversations, but I'm finding I'm not that old. I'm getting old, but I'm finding through a lot of past experience of artists and singers. I work with choirs, praise teams. I worked at Mount Pleasant Church and Ministries. I was the minister of music there for about 5 years. Wonderful church. Bishop Johnson, amazing leader. He taught me how to be a fearless, powerful leader, to make decisions and stand behind them. Like, no means no. You can't sing. You're off the choir. You're off the praise team. The whole music department is sat down. Like that. Bishop Johnson is a fearless leader, and when you get on the campus of Mount Pleasant Church and Ministries, you understand why. I mean, it bought a whole shopping center plaza. So ministry at that level, it demands you to have those hard conversations. Business at that level, I do international business. Like I said, we tour Europe every year, and to bring 12 people on a plane to 3 different countries, 16 cities, 18 shows. I mean, in audiences of hundreds and thousands, mostly Caucasian. You have to have those hard conversations. Like, that may be your best, but go home, practice, and get better. Because in order to be a part of this choir, this praise team, or this tour, I need your range to be here if you're a soprano. I need your range to be here if you're alto. I need your range to be here if you're a tenor. And here meaning this high, or this low. Like, your vocal agility needs to be here. Your presentation needs to be here. I demand. I have a high. I know I have a high expectation when it comes to singers and their performance when they step through the doors of Mosiac Sound Entertainment, which is my entertainment company. So some conversations I've had. I've had the conversation of, you can't do this tour, or you can't do this gig, or you're no longer a part of this group until you get your life together. Those kind of conversations too, man. Like, I look far beyond the gift of a person, and I look at the person, and if they are emotionally, mentally, and spiritually in the right place, I can work with them musically. Like, that's at the bottom. So emotionally, like, these emotional issues, I attack them right on one. If you're dealing with depression, it's hard for me to trust you to sing to an audience to give them hope. Like, I can't have that on my conscience. So you pray, ask God for deliverance, and then I can have you sing. Or if you're an R&B artist, I'm working with you, and you're afraid to be sexy, I can't. You have to own what you're doing and be the best be the best, and really, literally be all of yourself. A lot of people they show up physically, but they don't show up. Like, you can look at a singer or an artist and tell when their mind isn't in the game. Or a player in the sports team, you can say your head's not in the game. Your head's not in the game. So having those conversations, holding people accountable. That rehearsal starts at this time, or you know that this is my expectations for this gig, for this concert, you know, meet them or you can't do it, you know. So having a standard in our society, we're being forced now to have a standard because of COVID restrictions. You know,
Right.
like COVID has put us in a place like, listen, these are the rules, these are the standards. If you don't meet them, if you're not vaccinated, you can't come in. You know, like these things are happening to us all around, and as businessmen and as ministers, or as any industry you're in, understanding how to manage, not necessarily manage people, but manage processes and manage structure, so that no matter who comes in, no matter who goes, your standard, your process, everything is consistent, everything's the same, so nobody feels like when they come in they can reinvent the wheel. So that's one thing I have been working on to make sure I solidify, even with this new way of how we're doing things with this pandemic, making sure that the standard is clear, so that when people come in, I don't have to have too many hard conversations, because, you know, coming in at the door, these are the expectations. This is what I'm looking for. You know, if you don't have that, then maybe I need to look in another direction. Yeah.
That's tough.
That's why he got a good job.
Right.
So tell us a little bit about you mentioned several times that you guys travel quite regularly. Tell us what that experience is like, and, you know, for you, just kind of being a leader, and just kind of pretty much organizing and doing the international, you know, making sure everybody's straight. Tell us what that's like, and then I want you to go into, you know, your actual business, like give us like a rundown, like everything. I know you kind of touched on it a little bit at the beginning, but just kind of give us the rundown, give us our like information, how they can contact you if somebody's looking to utilize your services. So.
Oh, sure. Well, thank you. With us traveling internationally, I work with 4 different companies, out of New York, out of Italy, out of DC, and out of Baltimore. My company serves as what you would consider like the talent scout for the tours.
Gotcha.
So the promoters in Europe, the managers out of New York, which is Twin Music, out of New York, they actually have all the connections with all the promoters in Europe. So I serve as like the talent agency. I serve as the artist. I started out as an artist on their tour, and then they gave me the freedom to create my own tours around their tours and bring in my own artists.
Nice.
So it looks like me finding talent every December. Like I said, excluding the last 2020 and 2021 because of COVID. Every year I've put together a group, United Voices, 7 artists from different parts of the country. This year that went, one was from New York, one was from Washington, 3 were from Baltimore, 1 was from Atlanta. So there's United Voices because they're new and upcoming artists, independent artists that are working on albums. So I put them together as a group, and put them on a 2.5-week tour, and they travel. They do some of their original music, but the main purpose of the tour is for the holidays. So Christmas music. I have my own Christmas music that I've arranged that we perform out in Europe. And I allow them to perform some of their music. Like if they have a single out, they perform their single, they'll do that. And then they'll do popular gospel music and popular American music. So like old gospel, like old happy day, stuff they know in Europe, that they feel like they're in church, you know. So we create that element for them. And it's really amazing. Like I said, we did almost 16 cities, you know, which is crazy. A city a day, man. Like literally got off the plane from the US, left the airport, went to the hotel, checked in, everybody got changed at the hotel, went to the venue, did a 2-hour concert, went to bed, woke up the next day, went to another city, checked out, got out the hotel, went to the venue, did a 2.5-hour concert, went to bed, woke up the next morning at 6 a.m., another city, all over again for 2.5 weeks. And it's amazing because you pull 7 people that don't really know each other 7 artists. You know what I mean? Like 7 solo artists. Like I'm the main thing in my city or in my bubble. You know what I mean? Like I'm the main thing, and I love giving people that opportunity to expose themselves to somebody else. It's like, oh, you the best in Atlanta, but I'm the best over East Baltimore. You know what I mean? It just kind of like it has that little natural, what do you call it?
Competition or
Competition. Yes, exactly. That natural competition that pushes everybody. By the time they leave the tour, man, they singing completely different. And
wow.
to me, it is literally my passion. Like and it leads me to my company. My company, Mosaic Sounds Entertainment. It was prophesied to me years ago that my music would be to nations what Moses was to Israel. It would be a way out of bondage into a way of freedom, prosperity, and peace. It would be a Mosaic sound. So it literally is the sound of freedom. What I love to do is development for singers, development for musicians and artists, taking them out of the place of Lodabar or I can't, or I'm not good enough, or I don't know if this is for me. No matter what the genre, gospel, classical music, R&B, jazz, musical theater. My niece is actually in New York now. She's auditioning for Cinderella, which is musical theater. So like I tap into a lot of different genres, which is another reason it's called Mosaic Sound, because it's bringing like the picture mosaic is bringing different types of sounds together, different types of music together to present the picture perfect image of Jesus Christ to the world. So it is a Mosaic sound. And what I do is vocal coaching. I work on range, agility, performance, stage presence. I just left rehearsal with Buick. I'm gonna do another shameless plug. Baltimore Urban Inspirational Choir. Dope. I mean, amazing choir. Look them up on Instagram. I work with Theron Fowler, who's also an artist from Baltimore. And I mean, all they are is R&B singers. Like them kids, inner city kids. Most of them don't really go to church, but what I do, my passion is still development. So rehearsals, we working on voice. We in the scripture, man. We studying, we praying. We're working on them spiritually. Like I said, if emotionally you're not together and spiritually you're not together, I can't work with you musically. So I start from those places first, because in order to sing that vibration, that energy that we call sound, it is actually your energy that we hear. If your energy's off, it doesn't sound good, no matter how beautiful the voice is. It's off to the soul. So I start there with voice training, vocal coaching. So I'm part of my company, Mosaic Sound Entertainment, is artist development. What I do, I'll connect with my other connections I have in industry for their look, for their image, for their brand. You know what I mean? Our producers I work with, if they're looking for a sound, I can connect them with from a vast variety of producers. From Philip Bryant, who we just did. I don't know if you know Miranda Curtis, but she's a gospel artist. We just did her record in Canada. Philip Bryant, Tyree Brown, who's also another producer. Jacob Jackson, who's another producer. He does more like the country EDM. Like he's a black guy with a white sound, which is really dope.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So Mosaic Sound Entertainment is that it is really impacting the artists of the next generation, and it is pushing them forward. So artist development, national, international touring, which has, like I said earlier, which has been kind of on hold until now.
Right.
So every year we do the international thing, but for up and coming artists, I've created local tours, like East Coast or Midwest or even West, going into the West Coast, tours for artists. So local and international touring, and last but not least, production, which is if you want a song, or if you want an arrangement for a song, background vocals, all together overall production, or just vocal production. My company provides that service as well. The last thing is management, which we have kind of taken a step back here most recently, and not have done. We haven't really opened up our doors for management this year, just because I'm really revamping things for how the industry is working now. Things have changed a lot. So before I open back up for management again, I want to have a better footing on the best avenues to push an artist in today's climate. A lot has changed with marketing and with labels. Some people now it's feeling like you don't really need a label, you just need distribution deals and stuff like that. So we do management as well, but as of now we've taken a step back from management. But all the above are the services we provide from Mosiac Sound Entertainment.
Absolutely, man. You provided us with the wealth of knowledge and the wealth of experience, and I just want to take the time to say thank you again for consenting to kind of come and share your story and be vulnerable enough to share those experiences that that has helped you grown into the man that you are, and develop you as in the profession that you are, and to be able to kind of impact the lives that you do. So I want to applaud you for that and just say thank you again.
Thank you
for consenting to be on this podcast. Once again, this is Unapologetically Black Male, where we talk about surviving the stigma, standards, and systems. I want to thank you all for joining us on this week's episode. Thank Brother Danton. Thank my co-host EJ. Listen, make sure you follow us on all social media outlets, and make sure you connect with Brother Danton via all social media outlets. All his information will be listed below under this feed. So make sure you connect with him, follow him. Make sure you go download his music, because you do have music out, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So make sure you go download his music, and just be a blessing to him as he continues to bless those and give back to those that are coming into his life and that he can pour into. So I want to say thank you for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you next week on the next episode of Unapologetically Black Male.